Okay, I think we are live.
Okay.
Greetings, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. Today, I'm excited to introduce our speaker, Puzo Soho. He's a key member of our Andersen IT community. We will talk about business intelligence, we call it BI for short. And our speaker has extensive experience in Sphere and how to turn this data into some valuable insights for business. His enthusiasm for technologies and analytics makes him the best person in this field. So let me pass the word to my colleague, Uzo. Please start.
Okay. Thank you very much for that intro. So, welcome to all of you who are joining us in this meetup. So today's topic is basically business intelligence, what's, why's, and how. As already introduced, I'm your presenter this evening. My name is Puzo Soko. I'm a data engineer in Andersen. So maybe just a little bit about me. I'm a data expert with over 2 decades experience in the IT industry, specializing in data projects which entail things like data engineering, data analysis, business intelligence, data science, and data warehousing. I have experience managing data ecosystems in cloud platforms such as Microsoft Azure, Amazon AWS, Google GCP. I'm also proficient with quite a number of tools, among them Informatica, SaaS Integration Studio, Best SaaS, Python, Power BI, ClickView, Tableau, Pentaho, Microsoft Business Intelligence Stack tools. I'm also an ardent advocate for data science, inclusion of artificial intelligence in new systems that we are building, as well as incorporating or embedding it in already developed applications. I've been with Andersen now for 2 years. I'm located in Lusaka, Zambia, in Central Africa. Maybe one of the things that Zambia is known for is the Victoria Falls. The Victoria Falls has been classified in the CNN list of 7 wonders of the world. There are indications that you are able to see the Victoria Falls from space. Not too sure about that, but there's that said about Zambia. So, going back to the topic for the day, we are basically looking at business intelligence in the context of its definition. In other words, what is business intelligence? So that is the what part of our title. And then we are going to look at the importance of business intelligence in any business enterprise. That is the why. And then we are also going to talk about delivering business intelligence. So that is the how. So that is how the title has been coined. Business intelligence, what, whys, and hows. So who would benefit from this kind of information? So we're talking about data integrators. By data integrators, we mean people who work as, for example, data warehouse developers, data and business intelligence engineers, analysts. So this could be a business analysts or it could be systems analysts. We're talking about knowledge workers and others who may just be interested in broadening their skills, just looking beyond their skills set. So let us now go and look at what the first part of our title, what is business intelligence. So business intelligence is basically, it refers to technologies, strategies, and practices that organizations use to collect, integrate, analyze, and present business information. So one takeaway from this is that the objective or the goal of business intelligence is to support decision making by providing actionable insights based on data. So, in other words, companies should be able to make informed decisions that are not based on opinion, but based on facts that could be verified by data. So that is, in a nutshell, what business intelligence is. But then another question will be asked to say, all right, why would a company invest resources in business intelligence? So there are several reasons or several advantages that an enterprise would derive by having business intelligence in place. So we can classify these under four headings. The first one would be improved decision making. So here we are talking about data-driven insights. Business intelligence provides accurate and timely data, enabling informed, evidence-based decisions. So in other words, we're not making decisions based on opinion, but based on evidence that could be verified within the data sets that we have. Under that, we also have real-time analysis. So businesses can react faster to market trends and potential issues with up-to-date information. The second advantage is that a company would gain competitive advantage and predictive analytics. What does this mean? So here we are talking about identifying business opportunities. So business intelligence helps spot trends and emerging trends before our competitors or before the peers are able to do that. Another advantage would be having better customer insights. What do we mean by this? So this entails things like understanding customer behavior. So by studying the data, by doing a lot of analysis within the data, business intelligence offers insights into customer behaviors, enabling targeted marketing. So for instance, we could do upselling or cross-selling. Now one would ask to say, what is the difference between the two? So upselling is a situation where you've sold, for example, somebody has got a bank account, and then within the bank, if the bank offers credit cards, then you can offer a credit card. That is an upsell. But if, for example, an insurance company is selling motor insurance, car insurance, they could also cross-sell by selling household insurance or life insurance. Another advantage that business intelligence provides is increased efficiency and cost saving. Because business intelligence entails automated reporting that helps in streamlining reporting as well as data analysis, reducing the time and resources and the effort required, hence saving of time in that way. Now, the third part, the third aspect of our topic is the how. Now, the how is where we are going to spend a little bit more time. So, in other words, one would ask to say, all right, having said all these things that we've said, how is business intelligence realized? So, like we saw in our definition, that this is a set of technologies, a suite of technologies that enable decision making. For that to happen, there has to be data. So one of the processes in the whole ecosystem is data collection. Data is collected from various sources within the enterprise. It could be from CRM systems, it could be from ERP systems, it could be from flat files. Nowadays, we're talking about things like IoT devices, Internet of Things devices. And this data is usually collected in a process called ETL, which is extract, transform, and load, or ELT, extract, load, and transform. Now, once the information is or the data is extracted, it will be transformed. What do we mean by transformed or transformation? Now, this simply means applying business logic, resulting in the data being ready for analysis and reporting. Once the data to be sourced has been identified, it has to be loaded in some storage medium. It has to be loaded in a target medium, for example, a data warehouse or a data lake or a data lake house via either ETL or ELT process, as we've seen. When the data has been stored, it can then be analyzed for insights. How can it be analyzed? There are several ways. Data could be analyzed via querying using tools such as SQL, or it could be analyzed using visualization tools such as Power BI, Tableau, ClickView, Redash, MicroStrategy. There are quite a number of tools on the market, or even Excel for that matter. Excel is a powerful tool that you could use to do analysis of data. Or you could use programming. So those people who are very proficient in programming languages like R, Python, they are able to analyze the data. As a matter of fact, I think Python is one of the tools that is gaining a lot of momentum in as far as data analysis is concerned. Another aspect of business intelligence, which is very important among this, is data visualization. Now, what is data visualization? Data visualization is simply representing information graphically to communicate and contextualize the data. There are quite a number of tools on the market that could be used for data visualizations. This includes tools like Power BI, as mentioned earlier, Tableau, Excel, Looker, which is an offering from Google, ClickView, and programming languages like Python and R, as we have said. Now, this diagram here is just a depiction of a typical ecosystem that you'd find in an environment where you are doing business intelligence. So in other schools of thought, you'll be there's an advocacy to say that BI only entails this part here, this bit here, where you are using a visualization tool like Power BI. But in others, it's actually the whole ecosystem. So you've got your sources of data here. So this could be SQL databases, it could be flat files, and then you've got data integration. So you have to get the data from the various sources, transform it in one way or another using tools like Data Factory, which is a tool native to Microsoft Azure. You could use Databricks, you could use Python. Once this data has been transformed, it can be loaded into various target storage platforms. For example, Synapse. Synapse is a Microsoft product. Data lake, it could be either S3 from AWS or even blobs storage in Azure. Once it has been loaded there, and then it can be analyzed by any tool. The next slide goes on now to explain a bit of detail why data visualization enables business intelligence. So we are still asking the how question. So one of the important things that we've already mentioned is data visualization. So why is data visualization such an important component in business intelligence? There are quite a few things that we can look at. For example, simplification of data interpretation. So data visualization converts complex data sets into visual formats that are easier to understand. I think it naturally, given a big data set, for example, a CSV file, or given a line graph or a pie chart, it will be easier to glean insight from a pie chart than to read detailed CSV files. Having said that, backpedaling on that, actually, you would see that data visualization helps users quickly identify patterns, trends, and relationships. Data visualization also helps in enhancing decision making. How does it do that? It provides clear visuals for quick insight, assessment, and informed decision making. Visualizations also aid in identifying outliers, trends, and the key matrices for strategic planning. So for instance, if data is presented in a box plot, automatically you are able to see outliers to say, all right, this data, for example, falls outside the 75th percentile, this data falls below the 25th percentile, and so on and so forth. And you're automatically drawn to those outliers and quickly identify them for either purposes of seeing correction or maybe eliminating them from the data set completely. The other thing that data visualization does is related to the first point, is that it helps in identifying patterns and trends. So it reveals hidden patterns and correlations that are not obvious in the raw data. So just by looking at the raw data, you may not tell certain things until that data is visualized. Another advantage that data visualization does under identifying patterns and trends is that in charts like time series charts, you get highlight trends over time for forecasting and adjusting strategy adjustments. So what does this mean? So just by looking at the trend and that there's a strategy in place, say maybe for marketing or for customer acquisition, depending on what the, the, the chart is saying, the strategy could be adjusted so that you are able maybe to meet targets. So that is quite important when you employ data visualization in business intelligence. Another thing is that there's efficiency in terms of communication. So clearly, BI conveys complex data to both technical and non-technical stakeholders, usually at the executive level of management. I think from the when you move from operational to tactical to strategic level of management, even the levels of data that has to be shared reduces. So as you go higher up, the levels of detail are reduced. So most of the time they just want to see summarized data. So non-technical stakeholders, for example, shareholders, would just be interested to see a breakdown of certain things by graphs. So are we making profits? Are we making losses? How are our sales for different items, and so on and so forth. Well-designed visuals are able to tell compelling data stories and used for presenting findings in your data. The last component that we are going to look at in the house is in terms of skills. So what are some of the skills required for somebody to become proficient in business intelligence, or just to become a business intelligence analyst or business intelligence developer? So one has to have the ability for data analysis. So this entails ability to gather, process, interpret large data sets using statistical and analytical techniques to extract meaningful insights and understand patterns, trends, and anomalies. Somebody has to have data visualization skills. So proficiency in tools like Power BI, Tableau, ClickView, to create interactive dashboards and reports, making complex data easy to understand, and establishing information for decision making. So just in addition to that, it's not just understanding the tools, but to be able to advise a business. For example, if you are given a certain set of data, it's incumbent upon you to advise, to say, all right, this data is better represented using a line graph or a box plot or a heat map or a tree map, depending on the use case. So it's not just enough knowing the tools, but also being able to understand, so for example, the domain, as well as what is being communicated. Another skill important in this is the ability to query data and manage databases. So one needs strong querying skills such as SQL and managing data from various sources. So these data sources could be relational, it could be non-relational databases. So in other words, somebody should have the ability to perform skills necessary for retrieving and preparing data for analysis. The last point would be somebody must have business acumen. In other words, understanding business processes, objectives, and ensure analysis aligns with business goals. And relevant actionable decisions. So this also would entail somebody having domain knowledge. So somebody, for example, in the telecoms, having a good understanding of telcos or banking or insurance for them to have a meaningful impact as either a business intelligence analyst or developer. We've reached the end of our just the slides, but I'm going to do a presentation so that I just have a glimpse or just an idea of one of the tools that is predominantly used in the market for business intelligence. So the tool that we are going to use is Power BI. Now, Power BI is a Microsoft business intelligence tool that could be used as a standalone product. In other words, you can acquire Power BI on its own, use it in a standalone mode, or you could use it as a suite of services within Microsoft Azure. And then, so that is the tool that we are going to use, but what data are we going to use? So the data that we are going to use for our demo comes from a 2024 Stack Overflow Developer Survey. Now, Stack Overflow is a website that is predominantly used by developers and technical people, mostly to ask questions. So the one would say, all right, how do I import data in Python? So I'll just write in a query into Stack Overflow and I'll get help for that problem that I'm trying to resolve. So what Stack Overflow does is periodically they do surveys. So the Stack Overflow Developer Survey is an annual survey conducted by Stack Overflow that gathers insights from a global developer community. It covers a wide range of topics, including developer demographics, so race, levels of education, whether they are in employment, whether they are doing part-time, whether they do programming as a hobby, whether they do programming as work. Programming languages. So what programming languages are these people surveys using? So for example, one would say, all right, I use Python, I use R, I use Java, and different frameworks. For example, Python frameworks like Pandas, Django, Tkinter, and so on. Other tools that they use, their salary in for that particular job that they're doing, if they're in a job, if they are getting job satisfaction, and so on and so forth. So we are going to switch now to Power BI. So this is the canvas for Power BI. So Power BI has got so many components. So we're just going to look at the visualization component, which is represented by that icon. So we are going to develop our own visualization. So when you look on this side, you've got the different types of visuals that you could use. This is, for example, is a line chart. This is a map. This is also a map. This is, I think, a tree map, different graphs. And then we've got our data here, which I've already cleaned up. So let us do, for example, a simple bar chart. So all you do is you click on the visuals that you want to do, and then what is it that you want to visualize. So one of the things that we want to do response ID. In other words, we want to see how many people responded in a certain way. Okay, so we just click on that one, and then let us see, for example, their levels of education. So I already know these fields, what they mean. So I'll just go to ED level. So from there, you are already able to see that, okay, in this data, Okay, so if you just hover any of these, it is able to tell you that, okay,
Sorry for interruption. Could you please double check you're sharing the full screen? I mean that unfortunately we can see only your presentation.
or you can only see the presentation.
Yeah,
Let us,
just take a couple of seconds and please double check it. Thanks.
okay.
Yeah,
Sorry about
meanwhile, yeah,
that.
while Puzo is sharing, I will just say that I'm a fan of data analysis and I really like such insights and such introductions into once data is collected, for example, a Stack Overflow survey, you can dive into it and check what is really on the market, what are the trends and stuff like that. So behind that Puzo was talking, actually, he will show you how this data could actually be visualized.
Okay, are we able to see this graph now?
Yep.
All
Now
right,
we
okay.
see your
All
presentation.
right.
Please switch to BI.
Are you able
Uh,
to see it?
Not really, not right now.
Uh,
I think that's
oh,
the common way when you're
sorry,
working with two monitors, right?
sorry about that. But I wish I was able to show you graphically what you are able to do. But basically, so Power BI is one of those tools that is quite common in the market. Um,
Yeah, I
other
mean,
tools,
don't worry. Maybe just take your time and can you please just share? I mean that it's really insightful. Uh, could I
all
please
right.
double check just, yeah, if
Let,
you could
let's
share
see. Okay,
monitor?
let let's do this.
Oh, I see. So let me quickly just ask our support team to share the screen. You're maybe sharing another one.
All right.
Yeah. Okay. So perhaps if you have just 1 minute, I will just then ask a couple of questions we have already in our chat,
All right. Okay.
and we will then switch back. Okay, so one interesting question is, do you actually need to have programming skills to work as data engineer? I mean, for example, do you need some skills to write scripts for data transformation, or as you already called it, ETL processes? How it works in your real deal experience?
Okay, not necessarily. So I think the modern tools are able to help what we call citizen developers. So citizen developers are people who may not necessarily have the technical training, but they have got been exposed to the technology and they're able to build their own solutions. So having a scripting knowledge or programming knowledge is an advantage, but not necessarily a prerequisite. It may make you more efficient, but even without that skill, somebody can still become very productive business intelligence developer. But certainly, it gives an advantage in that maybe even the learning curve. If, for example, you are being exposed to DAX, which is a programming discipline within Power BI, somebody is able to come to speed with the learning curve is short. So you tend to learn quicker if you've got that background, but it's not necessarily a prerequisite.
Mm-hmm. Great, great. I see. One interesting question, also perhaps from my side, how would you call which trends are expecting us in business intelligence, maybe in a year? You know that right now the world is changing rapidly, and we can see how AI became one part of our life, even for developers. What would you say?
Yes. So in fact, that is a very important question. So what would happen is previously you would, for example, generate out of the data, you generate a bar graph or a tree map or whatever visualization or a box plot. Now you've got options to allow machine learning to interpret that. In other ways, it may even give you causal effects. So it may tell you to say, all right, your cells are declining because of so and so. So that is the intelligence that it's not even you giving that interpretation, but artificial intelligence is able to interpret the data and give you certain causal effects. So I think that is where most of these tools are heading to. There's a lot of incorporation of data science and machine learning in these tools that are emerging.
Hmm. Yeah, I know that AI becoming more and more popular, so that's why we have maybe another question. Are you really using AI in your BI work today? Is it good enough?
Uh, it is, but you see, sometimes we have to. You have to have means to cross-check what results you're getting. So, for example, let us just use the ChatGPT. ChatGPT has
Yeah.
been trained over a lot of models. For certain things, it's able to give you very accurate information. But then you have to counter check it with your domain knowledge. So, for example, if you are in the telecoms or if you are in banking, there's a certain knowledge that you've gained over time. Sometimes you are able to interrogate to say, all right, maybe this result from artificial intelligence or from machine learning is not very accurate. But I think the systems that we are seeing nowadays are quite uh, they're quite amazing. They're quite self-sustaining, quite accurate. The accuracy is now very high in most of these
Hmm.
projects. So for my previous project where I was working, there was quite a lot of use of machine learning models just in aiding the interpretation of the results. In other words, trying to identify causal effects. uh, why are people spending so much money using this channel? Why are people spending so much money in this channel? Because these models are trained over large data sets. They are able to give you quite comforting conclusions about whatever it is that you are trying to inquire.
Hmm. Thank you. Couple of questions, and then we will try again to show on the demo, right?
Yeah.
Okay. What's the difference between data analyst and business analyst? Since we often see these both different titles, how could you explain?
Okay, so one of the things that I do, for example, with my interns is to one of the things that we do early on is to understand job descriptions and job roles. So you find in one company they'll say this person is a data engineer, this one is a data analyst. But when you look at what they do, you find that their duties transcends quite a number of domains. So a business analyst in a typical environment would just be there to look at the data from the point of view of business requirements or business processes or the business that that organization is in. Whereas the data analyst may not necessarily be conversant with any organization. So it's organizational agonistic. In other words, they just look at the data and be able to give insight from that data. So that is how I would distinguish between the two. But you find in most cases, the these roles are overlapping. So what a excuse me, what a business analyst does and what a business data analyst do, you find sometimes they'll even have one person doing both roles.
Hmm. I see. Okay, yeah, it's really important, I think, to understand domains. That's why another question is also pretty interesting. So, how do you think? Is it a big learning curve in this sphere? Do you need to know to have direct experience, work in different IT sphere, or how much time you need to be able to start working as a BI specialist?
Yeah, I think the learning curve is not steep, particularly if say for example, if one has got domain knowledge. I think the most important thing is to have domain knowledge. Once you've got domain knowledge, then it would be very easy to learn business intelligence. Maybe one of the things that sometimes people discount is the use of Excel. Now,
Mm-hmm.
Microsoft Excel itself is a very, very powerful tool. Other organizations, very mature organizations, big corporations, they just use Microsoft Excel for their business intelligence because what most of these exotic BI tools are able to do, Excel is able to do. And on average, you find a lot of people within organizations are able to use Excel quite well, quite efficiently. They are able to do complex VLOOKUPs. They are able to do pivot tables, pivot data, and pivot. Uh, that is what most of these Power BI tools are selling. So it's things like pivoting data, unpivoting, stacking data, making cross tabs, yeah, and visualization. So having the domain knowledge, I think, is a point, the first thing that one has to have. Other than that, using a tool is secondary. Using a tool, most of these tools are very intuitive. I wish I were able to show you. If I just pull in a graph, say I want a bar chart, all you need to do, all right, this bar chart, what do you want to show on the bar chart? Okay, I want to show the number of respondents. I want to show the categories, maybe by education or by country or by currency. So it's the learning curve is not steep at all. It's something that in fact, nowadays, if you go on, you don't even need to buy courses like Coursera or Udemy. Just YouTube. YouTube will show you amazing, amazing stuff. There's a lot of things that one would pick up just by looking at videos on
Mm-hmm.
YouTube. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for sharing your experience. So I think that's pretty from our public, but if it would be great still if for those who are waiting for some kind of demo, I'm not sure if it's possible for you to share still the screen. Can you please
Okay.
just
Let,
try?
let, let, me, let me
Yeah,
try again now, and then I'm sorry about.
yeah, no worries. Sometimes it happens, especially when you're trying like to present the best work, and everyone has
Okay.
such kind of nervous experience. So don't worry.
Okay. Now you're able to see.
Great, thank you very
Oh,
much.
okay. All right. This is what I was trying to show. So now I was, let us just open a new one and then I'll be able to explain it. So this is the environment. This is a Power BI environment. So let us just create, for example, our own plain canvas. So when you look at this screen here, this is just the different things that you. So this is the data that you where you get the data. This is the relationships among the data. This is the calculate. We won't go into there. We'll just deal with this the report view where we are creating our visualization. This component here shows us the various graphs that you can do. So let us just do a simple graph. We are going to do a bar graph. And okay, so all you do is just click on a particular graph and then it will fall on the canvas, and then you can start doing whatever it is that you want. So for example, we want to see the number of respondents and their level of education. So how do we do that? So for the number of respondents, we are going to find a field called response ID. So in other words, this is the count of how many people responded. So because I already know this data, I know that the level of education is called the ED level. So you come to ED level, and then you are able to see automatically to say, all right. So just by hovering over, for example, a bar, you are able to say, all right, there were 24,942 respondents who had a bachelor's degree. Okay, you are able to say those with master's degree, there were so many, and so on and so forth. So this would be one kind of visualization. It may not give us a lot of intelligence. Let us look at another one. Let us look at uh, a map, for example. Okay, sorry, I didn't. So because I was in this cell, so it means that I was overriding that. But if I want a new graphic, I just have to click outside and then maybe pick a map. So what do I want to see in this map? In this map, I want to see by country. Okay, let us still pick, for example, the response ID. but I want to see it by country. So in other words, I want to see how many respondents answered from each country. So I've got, for example, here country. All right, I'm able to see already that North Africa has got quite a big number of respondents. South Africa, India, Europe, and so on. And you can do a lot more analysis. So, for example, you would want to, maybe the company wants to go to India as an example, but then you are going there with a view to go and look for Python developers. Then you can say, all right, from this, how many people are able to use Python? So, for example, we can say, all right, let us check by, so let us adjust this so that we are able to gain more real estate. So you're able to say, all right, if we go, for example, to in Africa, this is the distribution of Python users against non-Python users. So here it says false or true, depending on how many people responded to say they are able to use Python. So these are some of the entry basics that you do in preparation to become a business analyst. In other places, this would be a full-fledged requirement to say, all right, they are only interested, for example, in knowing the respondent's qualification. Okay, or maybe they would want to know whether they are the type of employment that they are in. So, for example, let us just add here a pie chart. Okay, what do we want in this pie chart? We want respondents, but then we want it by employment. So we can go and do employment. Okay. All right, so now our graphs looks extremely busy, but these are things where now the BI analyst should be able to advise to say, all right, a pie chart, for example, is not an appropriate graph for such kind of visualization. But I was just using it to show as an example that these are some of the things that you are able to do with the visualization tools like this. So this is just very basic, but there's a lot that you can do. You can still go into the data that we are having. You are able to create new fields from here, add new fields, do a lot of analytics. Maybe you are interested in looking at the data, the age, okay, to say, all right, from these respondents, what was the age breakdown? You are able to look at what kind of work they are doing. Are they doing remote work? Are they doing on-site work? Are they coding as a hobby, or are they coding as part of their work? So there's a lot that business intelligence is able to provide in a company, and if well harnessed, any company should be able to get a competitive advantage over its peers and over its competitors. So yeah, that is the little demo that I had. I don't know if we've got any more questions.
Yeah, wow. That's what I really like, when you can check and visualize all this data.
Okay.
I'm checking that actually we don't have more questions. So perhaps I think that would be it for our today's session. That's why, first of all, I would want to say you thanks for talking on such interesting topic, for introduction to it. I'm would wait for new insights into BI, perhaps with more interesting and more dive into some specific details topics. So everyone who joined us today, stay tuned. Fuza will provide more and more events. We hope we found this session informative. Also, please join our community channels. Stay connected with us, and we wait for upcoming events. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you very much.